Whoops. Get going there, buddy. Yeah. Sorry, Ashley, I'm probably blowing her ears off there. Okay, here we go, folks. All right, it's Tuesday, April 22nd at 7 p.m. and we're at the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe office for our council meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody who's in the gallery. All council is here and accounted for except for Mr. Brody. He's running a little bit late, but he will be here. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Okay, seeing none then, we have a recommendation that the agenda for April 22nd meeting of council be approved. You've had time to look at that agenda. Moved by Councillor Kingma, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. All right, you've had time also to read the minutes of the previous meeting held on April the 7th. Are there any errors or omissions? Okay, seeing none then, we have a recommendation that the minutes of the Adelaide Metcalfe Council held on April 7th, 2025 be adopted as printed. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Nordoff, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, next up is our Committee of Adjustment. We have a recommendation that council convene as a Committee of Adjustment at 7:01 p.m. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Kingma, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, the purpose of the upcoming Committee of Adjustment and public meeting is to provide council, the Committee of Adjustment, and the general public an opportunity to hear from all interested parties regarding the applications being discussed this evening. The public is advised that comments expressed and written material presented are a matter of public record available for full disclosure. In respect to the Committee of Adjustment application, only the applicant or a public body can appeal a Committee of Adjustment decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. This must be filed within 20 days from the date of decision. In respect to the public meeting application, if a person or public body does not speak to the application at the public meeting or make written submissions to the township, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the council decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal or be added as a party to an appeal of the decision to the tribunal. If you wish to be notified of the decision in writing, please submit a written request to our clerk, Michael Barnier. Okay, so our first and only application for consent is B01-2025, owner Kathy and Gary Jewell. They have an agent, Dan Smith, who's here tonight from Finlater and Associates, and it's in reference to 543 2nd Street. At this time, I'll turn the meeting over to our planner, Ashley Sawyer.
Thank you, Chair Clark. So this consent application is for a surplus farm dwelling severance. So as we are in the committee right now, I'll speak to the consent portion of my report, and then once we move into council, I will speak to the zoning portion of my report. So as noted, the subject lands have a municipal address of 543 2nd Street, which is also known as County Road number 33, and they're located east of Adair Boulevard on the north side of 2nd Street. A small westerly portion of the subject lands have frontage on Wright Street, which is a road under the jurisdiction of the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc, and the northern portion of the lands abuts the 402. The lands are approximately 103.98 acres in size, and they're predominantly surrounded by residential uses to the south, agricultural uses to the east and west, industrial uses to the west, and then the 402 to the north. And a portion of the lands are regulated by the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority, which when you look at the map there, that is the red hatching on the map. So the severed parcel is proposed to maintain the existing 20-meter frontage along 2nd Street, and it will have an area of approximately 3.47 acres. Of that 3.47 acres, approximately 1 acre is located within the urban settlement area boundary. Predominantly, that is where the driveway is located. And the remaining 2.47 acres is located outside of the boundary and classified as being within a prime agricultural area. So the severed parcel is going to retain the existing single detached dwelling, one barn that's to be converted to an accessory structure, and then it also has another accessory structure on the property. The lands are serviced by a privately owned well and septic system, and as noted, they do have an existing access to Second Street. The retained parcel is proposed to maintain the existing 26-meter frontage on Wright Street, and it will have an area of approximately 100.51 acres. The lands are currently used for crop production and they're not currently serviced, and there is an existing farm access to Wright Street that must be confirmed to the satisfaction of the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc. Again, that's just because Wright Street is under their jurisdiction. So I would just note that no change of use is proposed for either the severed parcel or the retained parcel. The application was circulated to the agencies and neighboring landowners as prescribed in the Planning Act. Middlesex County Emergency Services did note that standard 911 addressing must be assigned to the farmland, and that's going to be to the satisfaction of Strathroy-Caradoc and to emergency services. Strathroy-Caradoc did note that they are requesting that that field access on Wright Street be formalized to their municipal standards and that an approved 911 address be assigned. St. Clair Region Conservation Authority did note that portions of the lands are regulated, but as the severed parcel is entirely outside of it and there's no change noted to the environmental protection zone on the farmland portion, they have no concerns with the application. And I didn't receive any formal public comments prior to the submission of my report. I did receive an inquiry from a neighboring landowner about potential for residential development on the farmland. I did advise that development beyond agricultural use would not be permitted at this point in time based on the prime agricultural designation, but that they are currently outside of the urban settlement area boundary. Should this change in the future, neighboring landowners would be advised, provided that the legislation in effect today does not change. So the provincial planning statement, Middlesex County official plan, and Adelaide Metcalfe official plan all generally permit surplus farm dwelling severances, provided the evaluation criteria is met. The applicable policies I have outlined in more detail in my report, and I won't go through them all this evening for you. But generally, staff are satisfied that the criteria has been met or will be met as a condition of consent. Farm consolidation is required to be demonstrated as part of the application, which has been. The dwelling was constructed at least 10 years prior. As I noted, there's existing servicing on the severed parcel. Access exists for the severed parcel, and we'll provide it for the retained parcel as one of the conditions. And I would just note that in terms of size for the severed parcel, 3.47 acres is generally larger than I would typically support for the creation of a surplus farm dwelling lot. However, as I noted in this particular case, approximately 1 acre is located within the settlement area boundary. So effectively the portion within the prime ag area is 2.47 acres. And because of that reason, I'm satisfied that the lot fabric is not taking agricultural land out of crop production unnecessarily. So my recommendation as it pertains to the consent is that it be approved with the conditions outlined in my report. And then I'll speak to the zoning once we go into council.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. Would the applicant or the applicant's agent like to make any comments? Dan, just come up to the microphone here and Dan, the fire chief will set you up there.
Thank you, Your Worship. Folks, good evening. See some familiar faces in the audience here. And it's been a long time since I've done one of these in person, and it sure is nice. We've had the opportunity to review the planner's report that was submitted, and I don't want to take a long time here. We've had a chance to review the applications in terms of provincial policy, in terms of your county official plan and the local Metcalfe, Adelaide Metcalfe official plan, and the Adelaide Metcalfe zoning bylaws as well. We submitted the application for a surplus farm dwelling, and it is a rather unique situation. It has split zoning on the property, and it also has a dual designation in the official plan. We've seen many surplus farm dwelling situations. It is one of the only types of residential severances that are permitted in the agricultural area. The province, as you know, has really clamped down in the last 20 or 30 years on that kind of thing. So we're satisfied that this is a legitimate surplus farm scenario. We've had a chance to review your planner's recommendations, and we don't take issue with any of those. So those are basically my comments. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dan. All right, council, it's your turn. Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, and we don't have anyone from the public here, so we won't ask for any comments from the gallery. So you've got a recommendation before you from our planner. And I'll read only a portion. The recommendation that the application for consent B01-2025 submitted under Section 53 of the Planning Act be granted by the Committee of Adjustment subject to the following, I think there were 19 conditions. And you've had that in your package, so you're aware of what they are. I don't think I need to read them all out. So could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Counselor McKinnon, seconded by Counselor Kingma. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, I now need a motion to adjourn the Committee of Adjustment meeting at 7:11 p.m. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Counselor Nordoff, seconded by Counselor Kingma. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. We will now reconvene to the public portion of the meeting. And I need a motion that we convene into the public meeting at 7:12 p.m. Moved by Counselor McKinnon, seconded by Counselor Nordoff. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, so this is the same property in question, an application for zoning bylaw amendment Z04-2025, and our owners once again are Kathy and Gary Jewell, and their agent is Dan Smith from Finlaird and Associates, and it's in reference once again to 543 Second Street. So I will turn this portion of the meeting over to Ashley.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. So as I noted, we just spoke about the consent application in the committee, so I'm going to just focus on the zoning bylaw amendment application now. I won't go through all the background information on the property with you again. But the purpose of the zoning bylaw amendment is to fulfill a condition of the severance. It proposes to rezone a portion of the severed parcel from the existing site-specific general agricultural zone to a site-specific surplus dwelling zone. And it will rezone a portion of the retained parcel from the site-specific general agricultural zone to an agriculture-only zone. I have noted previously, but the environmental protection zone on the retained parcel is not going to be rezoned. It will remain as is. So the site-specific relief for the severed parcel, which is the one highlighted in yellow, is to recognize the existing lot frontage of 20 meters, whereby 30 meters is generally required. And it will recognize the existing square footage of the accessory structures already on the property. And I will just note that this lot frontage is actually the relief that is present in the A8 zone that's currently on the property. So in my opinion, it's really just administrative to update that part. Similarly, the relief as it pertains to the existing accessory structures would just recognize their continued use as such. And the accessory structures are surrounded by agricultural lands on the northwest and east side of the subject lands. And then they are actually screened from the urban residential uses to the south, as there's substantial tree cover and landscaping there. And I did confirm that when I went out to do a site visit, that they're not actually visible from the road allowance. So it's not detracting from the streetscape to let them remain as they exist today. They are also set back approximately 235 meters from 2nd Street. So I would recommend that the zoning relief be specifically limited to those existing accessory structures, which are strictly for personal storage purposes, so that once they are removed or replaced, any new structures would need to comply with the current zoning regulations, or they would need to seek additional relief from council in the future if they had a different proposal. And then the retained parcel is pretty straightforward. It's just to rezone it to agriculture only, which is necessary to meet the applicable policy requirements, essentially just to ensure that no new residential dwellings are built on these lands and that they continue to be used for agricultural purposes. So no comments in addition to those provided for the consent were provided for the zoning bylaw amendment. So I am recommending that the proposed zoning be approved and that the bylaw be read a first, second, and third and final time this evening.
Thank you, Ashley. Dan, do you have anything you want to add regarding the zoning, or it's pretty?
At this time, we certainly accept what the planner is saying about both the zones that are required. We find that's typical of surplus farm dwelling severances and certainly don't take any exception to any of that.
Okay, great. Council, any questions? For the planner or for the other planner, Dan? Okay, seeing none then, we have a recommendation that council receive the report for information for zoning bylaw amendment Z4-2025, which proposes to rezone the portion of the subject land zone specific general agricultural A8 zone to a site-specific surplus dwelling SD10 zone, and to rezone the portion of the subject land zoned site-specific general agriculture A8 zone to agricultural only AO zone. And further, that the associated implementing bylaw be approved and read a first, second, and third final time in open council. Moved by Councillor Kingma, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. All right, we're very efficient here. We have a motion that council will adjourn the public meeting at 7:16 PM and reconvene into regular session of council. Moved by Councillor Nordoff, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. All in favor, and that's carried. Thank you. So Dan and the Jules, you don't have to stick around, but if you want to, you're more than welcome to. Okay, so.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Dan. Yeah, thank you. Okay, next we have the consent agenda. Is anybody wanting anything removed from that? Councillor Kingma?
7D, please.
All right, so we'll turn, who wants to take that? Johnny, 7D? Staff report regarding the consent agenda, the operating budget to actual March 2025.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Clark, through to council. It's our first operating budget actual report for the year. So generally spending is consistent with the budget as of right now. It's fairly early in the year, but again, just for informational purposes, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Councillor Kingma?
Thank you. Through the mayor to Coulter. I was just wondering if we've gotten started on the road needs study.
Thank you, Councillor Kingma. Actually, Spree Associates has already started the process. They have done the street scan on every road in the township. And they're gonna go back to their office and start preparing a report that we'll probably see in the fall. So it's quite a bit that they gotta put together, so. But the process has started for sure.
Any other questions on that consent agenda, or not on the staff report, I mean, for the operating? Okay, could we have a motion to receive that, item 7D? Moved by Councillor Kingma, seconded by Councillor Nordoff, all in favor, and that's carried. And could I also have a motion that items 7A, 7B, and 7C listed under the heading of consent agenda for April 22nd, 2025 be adopted as recommended? Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Nordoff, all in favor, and that's carried. Thank you. Okay, under correspondence, we have from the city of Peterborough a request to support a resolution with the use of X. From the township of Mulmer, we have a request to support a resolution on procurement and advocacy for trade agreement exemptions. From the township of Rideau Lakes, a request to support the resolution on strong mayor powers. Okay, then we have a recommendation that council receive and file correspondence items AA through 8C. Moved by Councillor Nordoff, Seconded by Counselor Kingma. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, next up on our agenda are the staff reports, and I'll turn this portion of the meeting 9A over to our Fire Chief Parker. It's in reference to the first quarter activity report for 2025 and fire services review update.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. Through you to council. This is my quarter report for the first quarter of 2025. This includes calls by type of fires, firefighter training, fire inspections, and updates of fire services review and health and safety matters. The first quarter of 2025, we had 18 incidents in the township, 6 vehicle collisions, 3 structure fires, including 1 home. It was on Dodge Drive near Cairngorm. And 3 vehicle extractions, 1 medical call, and 3 canceled calls, fire department not required. In January, Adelaide Metcalfe Fire Department, we held our annual banquet at the fire hall. It was again well attended. We had over 65 people to our catered dinner. Mayor Clark was able to attend and handed out many certificates to the firefighters for their years of service. As well, we handed out our firefighter service pins that all the firefighters wear on their uniforms. 2 of our firefighters were recognized this year, Dave Bolton and Jeff Brooks, for their many years of service. We celebrated all the little things that they do out throughout the year and have done in the past for over 75 years of their combined service. In February, we drilled a new well at the fire hall. As council is aware, we've had some issues with the sand getting into our plumbing system. We were quite successful with getting a well with 20 gallons of water per minute, and it seems to be of good quality so far. Training, the guys were Chad Tominga, training officer Chad Tominga, focused on ladder training with all the firefighters, doing their different techniques of raising and lowering ladders, 1 person or combined as a group of firefighters. And our junior firefighters were able to participate in a lot of this hands-on training, and they seem to be getting along quite well with everyone. And as council is aware, our firefighter certification continues, the mandatory certification. Myself and Craig Langford did a pump ops course. It started in February and continued on into middle of April with practical and written testing. So it was that's part of our NFPA 1002 training. And Captain Richard Dortmans and firefighter Kyle Dingwall participated in their fire instructor course, completed at the end of April. And again, practical and written instruction. And that is their NFPA 1041 certification. March, our training continued with auto extrication. As noted previous, that a lot of our calls are always on the highways with motor vehicle collisions. So we practice with our electric extraction tools, the cutters, threaders, removing the components away from our patients in the vehicles. Again, radio communications was practiced, scene size up. A lot of these large fires we do go to, proper size up is key to inform all the units responding to the call, and their roles and tactics can be discussed while en route with all firefighters. As well, we Adelaide Metcalfe Fire Association purchased a new accountability board. It was a cost of over $5,200. A lot of the money was raised through our annual fish fry. This dedicated system is a tabletop hard covered case and has traveling wheels, and can be set up as its own independent workstation with lights and timers, keeping track of firefighters on scene. As well, in fire prevention officer Kyle Kirasavovich has been re-inspecting buildings and businesses. He was to Rona that still have an outstanding order and a place of worship that signed off with after a re-inspection. As well, a first inspection of a building previously known as Amy's Restaurant. An order has been issued there and is still outstanding. Fire services review and health and safety remains an ongoing process with 90% of our recommendations already addressed. Staff continue to update our SOGs and policies, some being newly created and as we move ahead. And our Health and Safety Committee continues our quarterly meetings. Next scheduled meeting is April 30th. And there's no issues to report at this time. Be happy to answer any questions or take any comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief Parker. Are there any comments or questions? Councillor Kingma?
Just a comment and then a question through the mayor to Dan. I'm impressed how many of our firefighters come out to a typical event. It's very high numbers, so that's very impressive. I just have a quick question about Center Road. There's been some collisions there. I wonder if you have any observations about why that's happening.
Thank you, Councillor Kingma. Yeah, we've been, fortunately, we've been to Center Road for about 3 collisions over the last 6 months. Seems to be a ongoing issue there. As you're well aware, there's multiple no parking signs along the road, both ways, north and southbound. A lot of seems to be transport trucks, large vehicles are stopping for Tim Hortons or to some of the restaurants in the area, not abiding by the no stop signs there, no parking signs, sorry. At all of these incidents, their traffic view, the view of the people traveling in and out of those private lanes cannot see all the traffic, especially with merging lanes, passing lanes in the middle of the highway. It's definitely a ongoing issue there.
Just to jump in on what Chief Parker's saying, we've had a few challenges at that temporary access that goes into Tim Hortons. It's a county road right of way. We have informed the county that we don't believe that access is required. So I don't know where Chris Trainey is in his process, Chris Trainey being the county engineer in their process to have that entry shut down now that there's a more appropriate or proper one down the street a little bit. So what ends up happening is when that temporary access gets removed, it becomes more of a ditch. So it's more challenging for folks to park their truck and walk into the Tim Hortons, for example. So we hope or anticipate that some of these incidences may no longer occur if there's not that easy opportunity to walk essentially across a ditch using a temporary access to get to Tim Hortons. We've had a couple of businesses reach out in the last probably couple of months to look for additional no parking signs. So what we'd like to do is see that temporary access removed, give us some time and see if we have to make any other adjustments along Center Road in terms of parking enforcement or bylaw enforcement. The county leaves bylaw enforcement to the local municipalities on county roads.
And without getting into more detail on that, I'll mention that to Ross Stewart, who is our area inspector with the OPP, and it is going to be a subject at tomorrow's management meeting as well. I'd just like to have you pass along our thanks to the fire team, just to echo the sentiments of Councillor Kingma. You always get a good response when the bells go off, the people show up. So the firefighters are very committed, and we appreciate their effort and their success in continuing training to make sure they're current with all qualifications and that they can provide the best service that they do. Um, anything else from anybody? Last call? Okay, then we have a recommendation that council receive the first quarter activity report for 2025 and fire services review update report for information. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Brody, seconded by Councillor Nordoff. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, next up is 9B, the equipment purchase results for a loader, and I'll turn this over to our Public Works Manager, Coulter Cahill.
Thank you, Mayor Clerk. In the 2025 budget, council allocated funds towards the replacement of our 2003 John Deere loader backhoe. The procurement process for a new loader was initiated through a cooperative purchasing group called Canoe to ensure compliance with our purchasing policies. Through evaluations with Middlesex County's procurement services, it was decided that the potential tariff imposition was at a high risk. So funding a unit that best fit Adelaide Metcalfe's needs with a delivery date not more than a few weeks would be more favorable. After completing the procurement process and reviewing timelines as well as specifications, Equipment Sales and Services Limited could guarantee the specified unit within 2 weeks of purchase. And they also had an option to opt out if any tariffs were applied to the final cost. The successful bidder for one new 2025 loader was Equipment Sales and Services, offering a 2025 Komatsu WA 278 loader. The township should expect final delivery on or before May 9th. After receiving the new Komatsu loader, staff will declare the 2003 John Deere unit surplus. It will be the recommendation to sell the surplus unit through auction on Gov Deals when the time comes. Based on the bids received, the total cost for the Komatsu loader before HST is $279,000. From a budget perspective, we're under the $290,000 budget by $11,000 before HST. The recommendation is in the report. Other than that, I'll open up for any questions if there is any. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Coulter. Once again, we're making decisions due to our instability and not ours personally, but the economy in the world right now. So, and the pricing came in favorably, so that's good to see. Any questions for Coulter? Seeing none, then we have a recommendation that council approve the purchase of a WA 270-8 Komatsu loader through the Canoe Procurement Group at a cost of $279,000 plus HST, and further that the Township Public Works Manager and Legislative Clerk be authorized to execute on behalf of the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe all agreements and other documents necessary to implement this award. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Nordoff, seconded by Councillor Brody. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, next up is 9C, the 2024 year-end surplus and reserve fund transfers, and I'll turn this over to our treasurer, Johnny Pereira.
Thank you, Mayor Clerk. Through to Council. The purpose of this report is to identify any surplus or deficit from the prior year and provide recommendations to address the financial outcome. So capping off 2024, we have landed in a surplus position of $67,736. As shown in the report there, the township has seen a significant decrease in annual operating surpluses over the past number of years, which does highlight benefits of our zero-based budget approach, as departments have been able to tighten up their budgets over the years. The 2024 surplus is a general surplus this year, as there was no operating projects to carry forward. So that amount was made up of various efficiencies found in the year, cost savings, tax changes, and unexpected revenues. The largest one there had to do with an increase to the provincial offenses revenue that we got just after year end for 2024. So utilizing our reserve and reserve fund policy, the remaining funds have been allocated to 3 reserves as outlined in the report, with the majority recommending to be set aside for the life cycle management reserve fund. The surplus is an estimate at this time as we are still working through our audit. The recommendation is to approve the report as presented, but be happy to answer. Richard. Oh, okay.
Are there any questions for Johnny? Seeing none, then we have a recommendation that the 2024 surplus be transferred to the Community Improvement Plan Reserve Fund in the amount of $10,000 be approved, and that the 2024 surplus be transferred to the Winter Maintenance Reserve Fund in the amount of $5,000 be approved, and that the 2024 surplus be transferred to the Life Cycle Management Reserve Fund in the amount of $52,736 to be approved, and further, that any remaining portion of the 2024 surplus be allocated to the Life Cycle Management Reserve Fund. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Counselor Kingma, seconded by Counselor McKinnon. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, next up is Johnny, it's you again. 9D is the 2024 drain maintenance report, and I'll turn that part over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Clark, through the council. This brief report is part of the annual process of the township to bill drain maintenance from the prior year. Under Section 74 of the Drainage Act, the township is responsible for the maintenance and repair of drains, and the Act directs that projects completed are to be billed back to all upstream lands and roads within the specific watershed, based on the maintenance schedule within each drains engineer's report. All of the 2024 drain maintenance to be billed is included within the report there. The total works for repairs added up to $59,652. Of that, there's $16,341 of grants to be submitted to the province, with the net amount to be billed of $43,311. Just to note there, the township is responsible for $3,026, and that's related to drainage works that cross roadways. The recommendation is to approve the 2024 drain maintenance bylaw. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Johnny. Any questions on drain maintenance? Okay, seeing none, then we have a recommendation that the 2024 drain maintenance bylaw be approved. Moved by Counselor Nordoff, seconded by Counselor Kingma. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we have a recommendation that council adjourn to a closed session at 7:38 p.m. pursuant to Section 2392 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss the following matters: litigation or potential litigation, including matters before an administrative tribunal affecting the municipality or local board. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Brody. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you.